this coconut here, which has all this living water in it, is super hydrating, right? It also has eyes on it that look like the face, and as my godmother says to me, it represents the ego, right? Sometimes we think we know so much, but I know I'm a lover of learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and I think please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of whenever I upload new videos. Share it with somebody who could use some motivation today. Greetings, this is Body-Culinary, and today I'm coming to you with the first in a series that is called the Coco Think Tank. Now we're calling it Coco because this coconut here, which has all this living water in it, is super hydrating, right? And it also has eyes on it that look like the face, and as my godmother says to me, it represents the ego, right? Sometimes we think we know so much, but I know I'm a lover of learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and I think it's definitely something that can benefit women, girls, my community, and I love learning from the world community at large. Like, for example, I'm studying and watching a young woman in China and all the gardening that she's doing. It could be somebody in Africa, somebody in Tunisia, somebody in Vietnam. I don't care. I love learning, and it's really an opportunity. This technology, this internet, is an opportunity to learn. There's so many things that children now have access to learning that I was studying in high school. Children now can learn to build websites. So it's a tremendous opportunity. I can definitely say for groups of people, groups that have been marginalized, ethnic groups, to have access to resources and to learning that they didn't have access to. You can also shorten a bit of the learning curve and be exposed to things and populations and people that otherwise you might not have the opportunity to speak to face-to-face, or the time or the money to travel to other countries, other people they want to see or experience, learn about my hair, Black culture, African-American culture, what it's like to live in Central America. There's so much of an opportunity for learning exchange. I'm always interested in different types of movement. From the time I was a little girl, I always wanted to learn to speak every language in the world. So the internet, we can look at anything as an opportunity, glass half empty or glass half full. I know my grandma Lou, who I really wondered why she was such a present and pleasant person. But one of the things that distinguished her was her perspective and looking at things from a glass half full as opportunities. So that's what the Coco Think Tank is. So in today's kickoff of the Coco Think Tank, I want to share with you something that I learned. And let me know in the comments, what have you learned new today? As a mother and a parent, women, we constantly ask children, what did you learn today? But what about adults? Have we learned anything new? We cut off from learning and from playing and learning at the same time because we've reached a certain age? I think not. I think that's part of the excitement, of going to school. If it's learning skateboarding or another form of dance or about a new food, I find that super exciting. And I can definitely say, from my experience working in fitness and working with all different types of groups from different cultures, that people learn more and they retain more when they're having fun and it seems effortless, and also when there's an exchange, and people are very relaxed. So the internet definitely provides us with that opportunity. So what do we have to lose, right, in learning something new? So today, something I've been doing for years is I will have my friends or my posse, right? People I might not have access to in everyday life. I have always been one to have old cassette recorders or mini DVD recorders or any kind of audio going on so I can learn, if that's fitness, if that's about human, how we learn, effective ways to learn, positive motivational thinking. I've always been one to keep certain music and sounds and different types of educational things on while I'm preparing food in the kitchen or food prep area, and also while I'm cleaning. It's a wonderful use of your time. It is very easy. It's happened to me too, to lose sometimes hours, even if it's educational things, sitting in front of YouTube or in front of the screen and not being active. That's also one of the ways that we put on a lot of weight, and that the body is trained not to burn off and metabolize food. So as people quite often in modern life that are very pressed for time, I like to be very efficient. And so right now I'm doing some laundry. I'm in Central America, so I'm doing some laundry, yes, by hand. I'm going to put it out in the hot sun, but I've been studying at the same time. So a channel that I really, really love is, I think it's Tom Bilyeu, called Impact Theory. I love it. Some of the greatest minds, some young minds. There's this young man that's been working on, I think, physics and astrofuel and physics and all this other stuff, but just groundbreaking stuff. A young man. And so to get inside this young man's mindset and find out what is his driving motivation. Also, there was a man called, I think, David Goggins, who I saw his interview. But today, I can't think of this man's name, but I was just watching him. But anyway, what I got from it, what I learned today, is 95-5, the 95-5 principle. Now, some of you may have heard of the 80-20 principle. If you haven't, it's that 20% of what we do, rather than the whole 100%, 20% of what we do really makes, I could be saying it wrong, but here's what I got from it, how I comprehend it. 20% of what we do makes some of the biggest, or makes the biggest impact in business, the 20% of the habits that we have. So for example, the 20% when it comes to money and economics, which is really important, really relevant, right? The 20% of the habits that we do that affect our bottom line, if that's sales, right? Because that's generating revenue if we're putting a product or a service out there. If we take the 20% of the habits that we do that are most effective, we can really manage our time. And the 80% is not the most significant. So that's quite a paradigm shift, because sometimes we can be spending so much time doing busy work. Now, I've heard of that principle, but the 95-5 was quite a confirmation for me. It just articulated something that I had come across, but it refined it and articulated for me. So the 95-5 is whatever the 95% is that you're doing well, it's the 5% that's going to get you to the next level. So it doesn't mean that what you know now, this is how I've always operated it or thought about it. It's not that the 95% of what you're doing now is not good or even effective. But in order to get to another level of result, you want to look at what is the major 5%, the blind spot, or what is it that you're not doing. And so I found that so motivational as I was out doing the compost and sweeping the yard. And I noticed, when I'm learning like that, it really, really motivates me. So that's another type of nourishment. And it's a pattern that I've noticed with me for many years. And it's something that if we apply, I invite you, let me know what you think about. Think about this principle. Is it something that you're applying? Is it something that makes sense to you? That what's the 5% of what we're not doing? So for example, in the fitness world, I can say, I'm in great shape. I can ride off the habits, what I've done for years of healthy eating habits. But what's the 5% that I'm not doing? If that's eating late at night or not being aware of my portions, even if it's whole, living, unprocessed foods. Do I put too many ingredients and have too many combinations at one time? Am I paying attention to if I'm really, really hungry or if I'm digesting my food? That 5% could take me to the next level. If I'm not consistent with my workout, or if I'm wasting, let's say, a good portion of my hour to work out and I'm wasting 35 minutes talking to someone in the gym and I'm not getting as much out. So that 5% would represent the things that it is that we're not doing, the areas that we can acknowledge for ourselves that we're stuck at. And once you acknowledge it, if you have a plan and you just keep going at it, and you just ask yourself, have a healthy curiosity about what can you do to improve it as a strategy. What can you do to really make an impact? Not so much in the head, but what is there tangibly that you can actually do, perform, execute to get a different result? And what is there that you can apply into your lifestyle, into your habits that will encourage you and help you form the habit, a new habit, to shift that 5% of the things that you're not addressing or that you're not doing. And I really love to address the areas that we're not addressing, because we're also in a time where social media, we constantly it's habitual to stroke each other's egos and give each other compliments, and that's important. But in terms of execution and focusing on that 5% that we're not doing can get us to another level. If, let's say, for example, I can think of a family member that was at a school that they really liked, right? And I'm not in the school. The family member was in the school they really liked. And overall, the school didn't have the highest stats or performance, right? And so if the standard is low, that's not a condemnation, but if the standard is low, it's easy for us to give ourselves accolades and a pat on the back. But in terms of a grander scheme, will that necessarily help us get to another level of achievement? We've got to put it in the context. It's not right or wrong or black and white, but it's really about what is the level that you've identified, or have you identified what is it that you really want? What are the results that you want without compromising? This is the result that I want, and what do I need to get there? And how can I strategize to get the motivation? And what are the specifics that I need to do? What are the things that I need to execute? How much cardio? How much sleep? How can I strategize to get that sleep? Do I get more sleep on the weekends? Is this something that's consistent? Do I have any kind of litmus tests or markers to measure whether I actually performed and got the things done in order to shift that habit? Have those things become a habit, right? Am I seeing the results? Do you have any way to measure results? So with Coco Think Tank, I'm going to be sharing different things that I've come across that I think are so exciting when it comes to learning. There's so many other forms of nourishment that we can get other than just the physical food. And I love learning. I really want to motivate people to find what is it that you're interested in. What are the areas that you're interested in performance? You want to perform better. Do you want to do a backflip? Do you want to learn something new? Do you want to approach algebra just because, at this point as an adult, just to see if you can do it, right? To test your abilities, right? Your human capabilities physically. And also mentally. What else is there that you can accomplish just because you have the ability to learn? I'll also say I definitely have observed it's very easy when, as young people, we get to an age when we start becoming very attracted to the opposite sex, which is very natural. Sometimes we can lose sight of our goals and for personal accomplishments, right? Once we start engaging in intimacy, in physical intimacy, and intercourse with the opposite sex or whatever sex that is, when we start becoming sexually active, it's very easy for us to become mentally and emotionally distracted from our goals and aspirations. And sometimes they can really throw young people off track, particularly if a child should come out of it that was unplanned. Not that children are wrong. We can really get thrown off of our life course, right? And creating other human beings that have a whole set of needs sometimes that we can't even imagine, right? For about almost a quarter of a century, it can really throw us off of what we are intending for our lives. So I really want to encourage folks, especially young people, definitely single folks, or even if you're in a relationship, but definitely young folks, and folks that are mature, to learn, to continue learning. It's exciting. It's exciting. So it just adds so much more excitement and pleasure to life. Learning things that you want to learn and that you want to explore. And the internet and technology really affords us the opportunity to do that. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. How you feel about the Coco Think Tank, and I would love to know what you learned today. And I'm also going to put in a link for the video that I just watched, so you can get the person's name. This business owner who owns Teams, he owns bubblegum restaurants and different restaurant chains. I know these are things many people, especially in the city, I can definitely say as somebody of Afro-American and Black culture, that many of us that want to achieve, and even of other cultures that may be on a certain economic strata, that we want to experience other levels of achievement, definitely in economics. And so we may just not know how to get there. So there's so much information that is available to us, and there is a way for us to participate and learn together, because human beings, we're motivated by each other, and our habits, whether they're proactive or they're an asset, or they're detracting from us, we rub off on each other. So if you're interested in Coco Think Tank and sharing what it is that you learned new today, I invite you to be in that conversation and to stay in that conversation. And I'm really, really curious to see how that evolves. With that being said, is that coconut that represents the ego, right? Because we can always, sometimes we hard-headed, just like that, like this coconut. We can always learn something. I know I can learn something from anybody, coming from any walk of life, and even people that have a whole nother view of mine. And I think that's a healthy attitude to have. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you received value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up, share the video with 5 people in your circle of influence, right? Because the 5 people we spend the most time with really say a lot about where we're going, right? Our trajectory, right? If they're seeking health, natural health, improving their health, athletic achievement, whatever the age or the walk of life, financial achievement. So if we're sharing something and people identify themselves that they're interested in learning, that's better for us, because then an organic, proactive, tangibly proactive community can evolve from there. All right, so I will see you in the next video. So everybody can grow something.